What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Johnny Mac here. Just wanted to give you a heads up that if you are looking for a community that is open to discussion as far as mentorship, conservation, the wild, becoming a better person, and all of that, there is a group for you on Facebook, and it is called Soul Seekers. Soul Seekers, we are all about making ourselves a better person. We're all about making sure hunting lasts for generations to come and encouraging people to get plugged in. Whether you are someone who has something to give or someone who needs to soak it up like a sponge, this is a community for you, and I strongly encourage you that if you're on Facebook to join Soul Seekers, and if you're not on Facebook, hop on there just for that group. It is only going to be as powerful as we all make it. And so just remember that life happens for you, it doesn't happen to you, and that you can't outgive good. You can't outgive good, people. I want you to understand that, and I want you to believe it, because when we believe that and we lead with courage and we lead with intention, lives are changed, lives are transformed, just like on this podcast, transformation through primal adventure. Be blessed. Enjoy this episode. Talk soon. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soulful Hunter Podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mac. Through this podcast, I'm on a mission to transform lives through primal adventure and to spread my mission of mentorship as conservation. This podcast is powered by Washington Backcountry, a resource for all hunters, both new and old. To find out more about Washington Backcountry, go to wabackcountry.com or search for Washington Backcountry on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The Soulful Hunter Podcast is also proudly presented by the Crazy Elk Company. Based out of the state of Washington with products made in America, they are providing solutions with gear to problems you didn't even know you had. Their tag wallet is one of those solutions, and I had the pleasure of using it on all of my hunts this last year, and it is now a mainstay in my kill kit. The tag wallet is a water-resistant zippered pouch that comes with its own reusable zip ties to safely and securely store your notch tag for quick and easy access. For more information, go to crazyelkcompany.com and use the code SOULFUL with a capital S to save 20% at checkout. Be blessed, everyone, and as always, stay soulful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Hunter Podcast and 2022 with my return and repeat guest of always of honor. So excited to have Jana Waller here to talk all about her 2021 season and one for the record books for her, as well as a combo that her and I are going to be doing at the Western Hunt Expo. So if you were planning on going to the Western Hunt Expo in Salt Lake City, February 11th and 12th, Jana and I are going to be doing a combo seminar on black bear hunting 101, spot and stock baiting and hounds. You can catch our Friday seminar at 11:15 a.m. and our Saturday seminar at 1:45 p.m. But Jana, great to see you. Thanks for having you come back. I really appreciate it.
It's been way, way too long. Thank you so much for having me again. We've connected a little bit, but not on the podcast. So I'm happy to be here with you again and chat, recapping this amazing year of 2021, talking about the exciting things about 2022, and talking bears. You and I talk
Yes.
bears all the time.
Oh, it's such a polarizing animal, and yet it is my ultimate, like my spirit animal is a black bear, 100%. Like,
Love it.
just everything about what it is I feel like a representation of me as a human. You know, big and cuddly, but gentle and ferocious and wise and just, you know, just all around. But that's enough about me. Like, Jana, with it being 2022, you had an awesome year this last year. What
It was
before we go backwards, what do you have?
okay.
What do you plan for 2022? What do you see going forwards?
Well, I don't know if my 2022 might not be as exciting as previous years, just because I actually have it sort of not free, but I didn't cram as many hunts into 2022 as I typically would because of my new role as a commissioner on Montana's Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. It is an incredibly time consuming role of being a commissioner. And so being brand new to it, I'm already seeing how much time is involved. And so I really, really want to focus 2022 on doing my best job that I can for Montana and for Montana's wildlife. So I'm excited to say I'm doing something I have never ever done before in my 12 years of Skullbound is I have every single episode in the can. I am putting together a best of the best all veteran season for 2022. And I'm so excited about it because I've literally talked about doing this for years because people come up to me whether they see me at the shows or the conservation banquets or and they say, "Oh, I love that show with Jonathan. He was amazing, the veteran who's a double amputee. Watching him climb the mountains was amazing." Or they'll say, "Oh, I watched your episode with Eric Alvin, a triple amputee. You got that great bull." All the time. My favorite episodes are definitely the veteran ones. So to put them all in one big season, I'm so excited about. And that'll be actually starting next week already. And I'm going all the way back to the beginning. My very first veteran hunt was with double amputee Navy SEAL Bo Richenbeck. That's going to be my kickoff episode. And then I'm going to do 13 veteran episodes. I was going to do 12, but I can't not do 13 because there's 13 of my favorite ones. So yeah, I've never done that before where I already have my whole season in the can. It's going to be re-edited by my editor Heath Helgert and sort of told from a different perspective because as everybody knows, editors are different storytellers in their own right. And so it's the same hunt, but kind of different, being told differently through a new editor. But I'm really excited. And those are going to be all free for everybody. Carbon TV, watch them anywhere, anytime, as many times as you want. And that's the beauty of digital. And so that's what's going on in my 2022.
Oh, that's so cool. And by the way, congratulations. And that position that you took with Montana, that is just another highlight of your 2021 season, like something to really really talk about. So, I love that. That's a beautiful beautiful story. I love your veteran hunts are so special. I've I've gotten to connect with quite a few veterans. We actually here at Washington Backcountry and Soulful Hunter podcast did a fundraiser this year, not for military veterans, but for first responders who got fired because of the vaccine mandate here in the state of Washington. And so we did a toy drive and raised some money to support them just to make their holidays a little easier. And the connections that you get to make with people because you get to hear their story. And that's
Yeah.
really like you get there's no greater thing I feel like than just to honor another human
Right.
for what they are and what they do and just how they show up in the world. And I feel like with your episodes, that is your example of that. And I'm just like, oh, so awesome.
It really is what it's all about. I mean, the hunt is a beautiful vessel, if you will, that that we have or platform, if you will, to tell their story throughout the hunt. Um, I love the way Heath edits because how he does it is he's done a bunch of my veteran shows in the past, and he takes their story. We sit them down, we interview them, takes their story and sort of tells their story as we go through the hunt, back and forth from the hunt to the story. And it is a connection to another human being, what they've gone through on this planet, and how their military career has affected their life and their families' lives. But more so than anything, every single veteran that I've ever gone hunting or fishing with has been just the warrior type, the type of soul that you just, they go through hell and they persevere. And to just be walking in the mountains with these guys who lost their legs, or with like Shelby Hatch, she was a combat surgical nurse. To hear her stories and what she saw and what she gave up to for this country, those stories are so powerful because every time I hear them, I know what it does to me and my soul, and it makes me appreciate our everything, not only this amazing country that we live in, our incredible freedoms, but also my life, my health, my freedom to practice my religion, to healthcare freedom, which is a huge topic right now. All the freedoms that we have. When you hear stories from these men and women and what they've gone through and what they've overcome and their attitudes on life, it just makes you appreciate your own life more, but also this incredible country that we have.
100%. 100%. There is, my wife has a family friend. Her husband is pretty high up in the military, to the point where I hope I'm not even throwing him under the bus here, came over and was like, "Hey, I don't want any pictures taken," type thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like pictures aren't going outside this house or whatever. And just talking to him about what he has gone through. And when I told him, he said he wanted to learn how to hunt, and I was like, "Oh man, I would be honored to take you out and teach you." And he wants to get into this homestead lifestyle. And when I told him about, some of my experiences with social media and people and interacting with community, and telling him about, you know, continue to fight the good fight. Um, this was a man who, this is only the second time I ever met him, that started to tear up and just reached out and hugged me. And his wife kind of stood back in awe and was like, "Whoa, I can't believe something, the walls like tore down for a second."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that connection happened because the term soldier is kind of, the jarhead, right? It's like you do your job, you go forward, you continue pressing on, but we're human at the end. Like we're human on the inside, and we want community, we want connection, we want to to feel valued and loved. And it just brought me back, and it made me think about how special you and what you do is. And
Well, I
there's
I
this.
can appreciate that, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk over you. I'm getting a little choked up here because your story right now, you're so right on the point of connection. And it reminds me of one of the most important, he doesn't know this, that it was so important to me, but it's a conversation I had with Tom Spooner, and I think of it all the time, all the time. We were at SHOT Show. He was just starting Warrior's Heart. It is the first of its kind facility in Texas for dealing for veterans and first responders, helping them deal with post traumatic stress, TBI, and addiction. And you'd think that this is America, that we would have facilities like this in place to take care of our warriors, and we really don't. We may now have, but this was like 5 or 6 years ago, and this was right when they were founding Warriors Heart in Texas. But Tom explained it to me like this, and it just made so much sense. He said, we need to create more of an awareness for civilians to understand what our warriors go through, because they come back from the war feeling, and I say they, and I know I'm generalizing, and not every single veteran has the same experiences, but I'm talking about the ones that maybe need our help a little bit more. But he said they come back and they have, they've seen atrocious things in the war. They've witnessed their buddies dying in their arms or next to them. They've had kids die. I have friends who've had, kids, Afghan kids die in their laps. I've had, watching. I've had a friend of mine who had to unzip body bags, and inside of that body bag was one of their best friends. Like stuff we cannot relate to, but we need to hear these stories to understand. And he said they come back with sometimes survivor's guilt and post traumatic stress, and then flung into a society right now, we have to admit it, that is under appreciating our military and our first responders and what they go through. And he said, I can explain it to you like this. They're standing there with this cup, and it's full, and that it's full of burden, it's full of guilt, it's full of sadness, it's filled, and it doesn't belong to that soldier, it belongs to every single United States citizen in this country who gets to reap the benefits of this amazing country we live in. And if they could tell their stories, what that does is it just pours out a little out of that cup while they're talking about it, while they're sharing, and a little bit to here, and a little bit to this person, and a little bit to that person. And after they can learn how to communicate and learn how to talk and share, all of a sudden they're left with maybe just half a cup. And that they can deal with. Okay. They can deal with that much. But that isn't their burden to carry. It's all of ours. And I thought, what a beautiful way to describe that. And that is why I've tried to do these veteran hunts and to share these stories so that people can understand that that's all of our burdens. And we can all celebrate this country and wave our flags and be proud, but also there's negativity that comes with what our men and women of the military have to deal with, and it's all of ours that we should be dealing with.
Right.
So
Yeah.
um, I'm excited to put this veteran season together, share these stories, and create some more awareness.
Man, so powerful. And I commend you for it once again. Um, you're you're always doing amazing things, but I remember last year during the spring when draw results came out, you and we're segueing here to a different topic. You were blessed, and goes with you can't outgive good, Jana. You get what you put out into this world, and you continue to put out amazing things, and in
Well,
return, you are being blessed. And one of those things that you got blessed with was a once in a lifetime hunt, right?
Yeah, I'm actually heading out tomorrow to Reno to go to the Wild Sheep Foundation Conservation Expo, and um, I'm going there kind of with a little skip in my step this year because I've gone a lot of years before, but I don't consider myself a sheep hunter. It's funny. I've always joked hashtag too cheap for sheep. That's and but I looked down at my phone. I was actually with my buddy Heath. We were going over to set our baits up in Idaho. So this is May, I think. And Keith says to me, "Hey, I'm gonna run in here. You need anything?" He's running into the gas station. He goes, "Check your draw results." And he came back out of the gas station and I was screaming. I'm like, Heath, you're gonna freak out. I drew a sheep. I drew a sheep tag. And he was like, "Get out of here." He totally thought I was pulling his leg. And I just stood there and looked at my phone and it says Bighorn sheep successful. And I just couldn't believe it. I never thought I would ever have this opportunity to hunt sheep, especially in Montana.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, the end of my summer, I started focusing on studying my unit on Onyx, with their new 3D layer, which is so cool because it's kind of like scouting from a helicopter. You can go in from above, look at certain drainages. My roommate Laura Zara and we hiked way up into this one drainage in August, and we didn't see any sheep, we didn't see any sign, but we learned something. We learned like they're probably not in that unit or that canyon, so check that off the list. Another day we hiked up way into another drainage. Same thing, we discovered it was actually way more timbered. I didn't do the best job of looking on 3D. It was more timbered. That was a drainage. I said to myself, like, okay, you need horses to get in here to
Hmm.
do a really good scouting job. So like, anyway, with 2 days of scouting and 15 days in the field, my hunt actually came to fruition and I was able to notch the tag. And Heath just put together a highlight reel of that footage that we got of that 17, day hunt. And I just watched it for the first time 2 nights ago and just started bawling all over again. Like, on one hand, you and I have talked a lot about filming our hunts, and it definitely changes the dynamics of everything. On the other hand, when you have such a special hunt or moment and you've got it all captured on video, to be able to replay that over and over is so special. And yeah, I feel so blessed. I never thought that I'd have the chance. We hunted our butts off. It was a super hard year for sheep. I talked to a lot of sheep hunters across the country and even in Montana. A lot of guys I know love filming sheep. And they were all, it's funny because in the unit next to mine, doesn't matter because I'm never going to get it again. 270 is a unit that everyone's like, oh, they're all over. And they really are. The sheep in 270 hang by the highway and everybody sees them there every single day. If you wanted to go and like film sheep, you go to 270 and they're there all the time. And yet in October, so I spent, I think it was 4 days in October, or was it 7 days in October? But the first 4 days that we hunted, and I had 4 days, then I had to leave for another hunt. In those 4 days, we saw 41 sheep in my unit. No big rams, two young rams, one lamb, and the rest 38 ewes. And it was crazy because in November, that's when it's supposed to get really good, right? The big rams come out of the mountains, they
Uh-huh.
come out of the wilderness into this unit. They're supposed to be everywhere. They were nowhere to be found. I literally only saw two adult rams all of November. the last one I saw, I shot. It was just crazy. They were not there. They weren't in all the areas that we saw all the other ewes and sheep. They weren't where I've talked to a lot of people who've hunted that unit. They weren't in the typical areas. It was just super challenging this year.
Yeah.
We got a huge snowstorm the day before I shot my ram, and Heath and I saw one in the morning. We got on his trail and we literally just went in the mountains after him. And this ram was bird dogging like a whitetail. I mean, after miles on end, we gave up. We literally couldn't even move any further. We were just exhausted. And, we got to a point and I could see his track through the snow going over the next mountain. And we just gave up because we couldn't get on him. And, anyway, yeah, I'm rambling because it was seriously, everyone always asks me, what's your favorite hunt? What's your favorite hunt? And it's impossible to say a favorite, but I do have to say that if I were to name a pinnacle of my hunting life or my journey as a hunter, this bighorn ram notching that tag was a highlight or the pinnacle of my life as a bighorn.
Oh, congratulations. Okay, so as far as a difficulty of hunt goes, is
Mhm.
sheep hunting like that hard, that much more
Not
difficult? Or
Not always. I mean, I've talked to a lot of sheep hunters over the years. It's not always that difficult. Sometimes, depending on where you're hunting them, it can be like deciding on what ram to take. That it can be really hard to field judge and deciding on what ram to. That certainly wasn't my problem. Um, every unit is so different too. I mean, the Missouri River Breaks is. I mean, that's a sheep hunter's paradise. It's the largest bighorns in the country, Missouri River Breaks. That tag at the Western Hunt Expo has gone for over $400,000, and all that money
wow.
goes right back to conservation. Yeah. The genetically, those rams are bigger. It's a different genetic line than the rams in the sheep in 250, maybe even 270. But I just think it depends on the unit. It depends on the unit. It depends on the weather that you're given. I've talked to guys who had my sheep tag in 2017, or I should say Heath talked to them, and they were literally going eeny, meeny, miny, mo on their rams. The rams were down by the lake where everybody sees them in November. It just wasn't like that for me this year. And I had out of this, well, 2 days scouting, 15 days of actual hunting. I had 9 of those days where I didn't see any sheep. And
Really?
that was spending from sun up to sundown. Yeah. Yeah. We just couldn't find them. It's a really weird unit. It's really thick and heavily timbered. It's not like you go sit on a glassy ridge in the breaks and can like glass, and just pick out tons of sheep. It really wasn't like that, but it was incredible. The reason I put in for that unit is two reasons. Robert Hanneman from the Hunting Fool, he helps me put in for tags every year. It's the best odds of drawing a sheep. And I remember Robert saying, "Do you want, low odds, big sheep or big odds?" I'm like, "Big odds." You know me. I've never been like, I don't even know what my sheep scored yet. Like, I don't care.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of different. I have tons of animals I'm looking on my wall right now, and I have no idea what half of them score because I don't know. They're my animals. They're awesome, and I don't really care. um, so like I wanted opportunity. So that's why I put in for that unit with the help of Robert. And then also it's close to home. So I knew that throughout my busy fall that I already had lots of hunts planned, I could go down there every day if I needed to. And so that's what I did. In November, I skipped everything else. I had a lot of unnotched tags in my pocket this year. I didn't hunt elk. I didn't hunt deer. I didn't notch my Montana bear tag. I didn't notch my Idaho bear tag. Like I really concentrated on my sheep this fall. And
Wow.
and just to give you some frame of reference, the two other tag holders in my unit, they both shot 2-year-old rams the last 2 days of the hunt.
Oh
So
wow.
like,
So it's a struggle
yeah,
fest.
it was really hard, but I'm really excited that it was that hard and that Heath and I were there through thick and thin together and that, it just made it all the more rewarding when I was able to notch that tag.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Um, does this make you want to hunt goat now?
oh yeah, like goat, yeah, a goat would be incredible. It's really funny. Probably the two species that are number one and number two would be grizzly bear and goat for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When's the
I'd like
grizzly
to
bear hunt coming?
Well, John and I, went to Alaska with with Joe Latart this last spring. John had the Grizz tag. I had a black bear tag. It was a weird week for grizzlies. It was a baited hunt. You're out on the Yukon Flats Refuge. It's just gorgeous. It was such a fun hunt. We just didn't see grizzlies. The guys before us got grizzlies. I was a dad and a son sitting on the ground where it was our favorite spot to sit, and they had to actually shoot in the ground and scare a grizzly off because they were just black bear hunting in the stand that we sat in 4 nights in a row, when we were there the week before. So, that's hunting. You just never know. But maybe 2023, I would go back and hunt Alaska with Joe.
That's cool. Jana, we got to hit Cryptech up and be like, all right, Cryptech, let's take Soul Seekers and Skullbound up to Alaska. Let's go. Let's do a combo
I like
hunt.
that idea. A big group Grizz hunt.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That'd be epic. So with the sheep, what's the meat like? I mean, because people don't get to try sheep very often, right?
No, it was so exciting. It was absolutely delicious. Now, I know that I've talked to people who aren't a big fan of sheep, but what I did was I took the back strap cut and we tenderized it. I have to tell everybody needs to go to Amazon and get one of these things. I don't know how to pronounce it. I say jacquard because it's JACAARD, I think, jacquard, but it's this white tool and it has like 50 like nails in it, and you punch.
Oh, it's a tenderizer.
It's a tenderizer, and it's so it is the best tool. If you like, it doesn't even care if it's wild game, steaks, chicken, whatever. So I did that. I jacquarded it. I tenderized the sheep steaks, the back straps. We marinated it for 24 hours in my famous dump everything in your fridge into your bowl and mix it up marinade. And then my neighbor Carrie, who is an incredible chef, her and her husband came over, and Carrie pan seared it and then threw it in the broiler for a couple minutes. I am not exaggerating when I say it was one of the best steaks I have ever had. It was so delicious. I really honestly don't know if anyone would have known that wasn't a beautiful prime rib cut.
Yeah.
It was so good. And that is the only time I've eaten it because I'm trying to be really super, I only have so much. They're not that big. They don't produce a ton of meat. But it's funny because I feel like I'm being very resourceful. So I'm having a gorgeous shoulder mount made that, believe it or not, is going to be ready for the Western Hunt Expo.
Ooh.
So Steve, from Game Trails, texted me here in Florence. He's going to be at the Western Hunt Expo, and we talked about having a showpiece made. I had Trophy Woodcraft make the pedestal already, and Steve's doing a shoulder mount. And I found one of the most exciting days of the hunt was I found a deadhead ram skull. And for anyone who's like a shed hunter or loves to go like out and scrounging for arrowheads and bones and skulls and stuff, I'm that way. And we were actually driving on the road and I was looking up through the sunroof, whatever. And I said, stop. Now, mind you, I say this all the time and it's never anything. I think I see an elk shed. Oh, I think I see a moose paddle. And it's never anything. And John happened to be with me on this day. And he slowed down and he goes, "You want me to go back?" And I'm like, yes, please. So he backs the truck up. I stand up with my binos and I look and I said, it's either a moose paddle, upside down moose paddle, or it could be a deadhead ram skull. All of a sudden he throws it in park, gets out the vortex spotter. We look at it. I look at it first and I'm so excited because I'm pretty sure it's a sheep skull. And it's like 200 yards up a steep ridge. Mind you, from the road. So so steep that no one else ever saw it driving by. And John looks on there, he gets off and he goes, "I'm 100%. And I'm like, "You're 100%? And he goes, "I'm 100%. We went beelining up the hill and we got to the skull. And then just right up, probably 10, 15 yards above him, the sheaths were laying there. I don't think it was more than, I think it was probably killed the winter before. So, half-year-old, 9 months old, and in beautiful condition, just the tips of the nose bones eat chewed just a little bit, but it's in beautiful condition, a beautiful big ram. So that is going to go inside the pedestal, the base of the pedestal with lights on it, and then on top my shoulder mount. And then I'm also having a purse made from his cojones.
Okay,
So
so that was what I was going to ask you next. I always remember thinking back, you made a social media post, and all you listeners, you can't see this, but Miss Jana Waller sitting in her truck, and she has her cup of coffee, and she's stirring her cup of
oh, that was
coffee, and
my
just kind of looking off and giggling to herself. And does anyone know what this is? Like, yeah, that's a bear dick.
yeah, yeah. So that does kind of sum up my personality right there. And so that was last year. But so Laura and I skinned out. I mean, if anyone,
They're huge.
I mean, this is a family podcast, so I'm gonna try to yeah, they're huge. So a sheep's cojones are huge, like humongous. And so we had the funnest time skinning those out and cracking up, and we videotaped it. And I'm literally going to make like a satchel to wear to like expos to put my cell phone in and some cash. And
Maybe put
so yeah,
your
I feel
family
like
jewels in them.
yeah, put the jewels in the jewels. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be awesome.
Any plans for Rocky Mountain oysters?
um I have them. I kept them. They're in my freezer, but I'm not positive what to do with them. So we may have to have my neighbor, the chef, come over and prepare something special.
Oh man, I totally get it. So I was this fall for October on a rifle hunt, came down out of this unit that is the world record ram was taken out of the state of Washington in the Swakane unit. And so we were hunting the Swakane area and came down off of this road. We parked at a highway and then hiked in the dark all the way up this, giant ridge and back in. On our way back down, found a dead ram on the side of the road right by our truck.
Really?
Just the head was cut off.
Uh,
I was like, but where it was, like it had to have been hit by a car. And then someone was like, oh my gosh.
yeah,
But yeah, I got a real good look at the backside of that thing. And I was like, oh man, it's still
right. Right. It's
packing
pretty
a
crazy.
punch.
It's not really accurately proportionate. Let's just say that. It's funny in that sounds like you don't know whether that was a poaching thing or someone just cut the head off quick, or maybe they did have it tagged. In Montana in 2019, they changed the rules. You used to not be able to pick up dead ram skulls. And I think that was a law to try to avoid poaching, right? But in 2019, they passed a law that you can pick up ram skulls, but you have like 5 days or 3 days or whatever after finding them to then take it into FWP. You pay as small as like $25 and they plug the back of the horn for you, and then it's legal. So thank goodness that they passed that a few years ago, and now I'm able to keep this beautiful, like, of all the things I have ever found while hunting, that ranks number one or two. I mean, the only other thing I've ever found that I think is so cool is a big obsidian spear tip that's just gorgeous, like 6,000 years old. So between that and that ram skull, I mean, that is a find of a lifetime. And I'm just so excited to have them displayed together.
That's so cool. So awesome. Well, shifting gears here, you and we got a seminar that we're going to be doing together.
We do. I'm so excited. It's gonna be so much fun. You and I are so passionate about bears. Um, People might not know this, but I hunt bears more than any other big game species, and so I'm so excited to share my passion. I love, and I've hunted them in every single way with every single weapon. I've taken bears with spot and stalk method, which is probably honestly my favorite. I mean, I really do. When you're spot and stalking, you're getting such great exercise, you're seeing incredible wildlife. The older I get, it's hard for me to sit still in a tree stand or on the ground. So I love spot and stalk hunting, but I've taken bears with a rifle, I've taken bears with my bow, I've taken bears with my pistol. I bait my own bears. Heath and I have bait sites in Idaho. And then this last year, I was able to go hound hunting for the first time in Utah. So I feel like we could cover the gambit and have a lot of fun in Salt Lake.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. And it's such a hot topic. I mean,
Yeah.
you got Clay Newcomb, and you and I are both written articles for Bear Hunting Magazine, but Clay Newcomb with Guard the Gate when he came out with that. and California was under attack with banning bear hunting, and then now Washington went sideways on everybody with canceling a spring bear season. Yet you can't hunt bears in the spring, but you can shoot two of them each year. That's so so
Yeah.
wild in the state that they do that. But here it is, like, yeah, if we're gonna talk hunting, let's talk bears, black bears. I mean, let's go. It's my jam, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to share it with everyone.
I'm really excited too. I would not call myself an expert by any means. I feel like I'm always constantly learning, but I've learned from some incredible people, and I've been running my own baits with Heath now for 4 years in Idaho and maybe five. And I've baited in Saskatchewan and Alberta, which is actually quite different than what we do in Idaho. We'll talk about that at the seminar as well. And I'm excited to have TJ Pace join us during our seminar too. He was the houndsman that I used in Utah, and I learned so much. There were so I've hunted mountain lions, tons of mountain lions with dogs. I've never had the opportunity to hunt black bear with dogs, and it was a learning experience. It was amazing. It was a lot more work than I thought. It was his dogs were absolutely incredible. We did a day where we were on foot hiking through the mountains. We did other days where we were driving on the roads and hoping the dogs would strike. But TJ has incredible hounds, and I'm excited that he's going to join us to be able to answer any questions people might have about the types of dogs he uses, run and dry ground, all the questions people might have.
And the cool thing is I don't know how many messages you get on a regular as far as like how to do something. I know one of
Mhm.
the major things that we get here at Washington Backcountry is, hey, how do I find bears? How do I find bears? Because I always tell people, you want to take someone and get them started into hunting, at least in the state of Washington, take them bear hunting, because it opens in August. You're not out there for deer, you're not out there for elk or anything else, but you can use it as a cross. Um, what is it? Cross training exercise. I call it, because that's
Yeah.
the PE teacher in me. Cross training.
Yeah.
Like you're out there for bear, but you start to learn how to find deer and how to find these other animals, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. And then it's hours of field. The more you put in, the more you're going to get out of it. So, huge fan
Yeah,
of that.
absolutely. No, there's a lot to learn, and the fun thing about bears is there are things about bear hunting that you can apply every year. Um Food sources, snowpack, snow line that you can, but there's also things like it's kind of unpredictable. Like I've been really blessed. I think I've shot 15 bears now, and every single bear hunt's a different story. And I feel like I learn from every single one of them. So collectively, looking forward to sharing what I know and then hearing other people's stories.
Yes, totally, totally. So, if you guys are planning on going to Salt Lake City to the Western Hunting and Conservation Expo put on by Mule Deer Foundation, go check it out. Come to our seminar on Friday the 11th at 11:15 a.m. or on Saturday the 12th at 1:45 p.m. It is a free seminar, so just come, shop the floor, hang out, come to the seminar. You're going to get a chance to meet a lot of cool people. And Jana, we got some sweet giveaways to hand out at the seminar as well. So you want to
Yeah,
come, you win some Onyx memberships, might have some Vortex swag, maybe some Cryptech gear. Who knows? We'll see. We'll
absolutely.
see what we
Oh
can
yeah,
have.
we could definitely pull that off.
So there's going to be some great things. You will not walk away empty-handed, or at least you'll have something to add to your brain, add a wrinkle to that brain. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Gianna, any last words? Anything you want to share for
Uh,
closing?
no, I mean, I think we covered it. I'm super, like I said, super excited about what 2022 holds in terms of learning more about. I mean, the learning curve, let me just say, for being a commissioner, the learning curve is extensive. And I'm still learning, but I'm really excited to learn that side of things. I've been a big game hunter for over 30 years. Um, I I have to admit, I wasn't even real knowledgeable about how rule making, how it all happens, the procedural, how it all happens, how it goes, in front of the commission, and what our powers are, what powers we don't have. A lot of people are really misunderstood about, like, they think that the new regulations come from the commission, but they really don't. They're coming from the biologists. They're coming from FWP, and we simply help make that vote yay or nay. But I'm excited about that. I'm super excited about the expos coming up. I've got Sheep Foundation Expo this week, SHOT Show and SCI next week, and then Western Hunt Expo, which in terms of just being able to get on the floor and talk to everybody and share stories and the energy, Western Hunt Expo is a do not miss show. And I'm excited about our seminar. We're going to have so much fun.
Oh, it's so much fun. You talking about you putting in your vote and all that reminds me of the Electoral College, of how we do
Mhm.
voting here in the United States with the presidential election. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Hearing you say that, you know what's really, I just want to say this last thing before we wrap this up. Hunters have always been known for not having a voice. They are like traditionally keep to themselves and all this stuff. I think with all the bad things that have been happening in 2020, 2021, who knows what's coming in 2022, I think people are starting to find their voice. It's like,
I
okay,
think so too.
we've been silent for too long. It's time to actually raise up our
I
standards.
think so too. And I think that there is a misconception that FWP or your state's DNR or whatever, wherever you live, that the division or the Department of Natural Resources doesn't care about what the hunters think. And I can tell you right now that that can't be further from the truth. It really can't be. I can tell you that I am so pleasantly surprised how like I'm the commissioner for Region 2, so I'm much more connected to Region 2, but I also see every single comment that comes through the statewide FWP website. All the commissioners get copies of every single comment. All of us read every single comment. And I know for a fact the biologists and the employees of FWP, they do read every single comment. People have to understand that you can't make all sides happy. You've got people who want to increase the mountain lion tags, and then you've got people over here, no, we no more tags. We don't. That's not the issue. And we have to learn to agree to disagree. But I can definitely guarantee people that our hunters' voices are being heard. They really are. And I consider myself just the average DIY hunter. I just want to, do what's best for Montana and the wildlife. I want to make sure that our public lands are accessible. I want opportunity for everybody. I want the kids to get out there. I want the grandpas to get out there. I am so passionate about protecting our hunting heritage and our herds and our flocks. But you're right. People are learning slowly, I think, through these, in my opinion, some of these bad decisions that have been being made across the country for our wildlife. We hunters need to stand tall and stay strong. We need to be respectful. I think that's important because I've gotten some emails that I definitely wouldn't put in that category. But we we need to be respectful, but we need to speak up. And our voices are being heard. There's been a lot of proposals in Montana in the last couple of months because we're coming into a big meeting that has season setting meeting, which is talking about quotas and dates. And I can tell you a lot of the initial proposals got taken off the table because people weren't happy with them. They didn't like them. They didn't think it made sense for the herds. And FWP as a whole is listening to everybody. They really are. And so I know it can seem a little frustrating and overwhelming for people who maybe feel like they're not being heard. But you need to get out there. You need to get involved. You need to go to those local meetings and you need to email your opinions because they're really listening to them. They
Mm,
are.
yeah. Oh man, so you're motivating me. I love it, Jana.
Oh,
This is what
good.
you're doing. You're making it happen. In the state of Washington, we have the petition for black bear, and what happened is there's 9 seats available, but one position was never filled. There was a
Right.
vacancy that's never filled, so
A
it ended up,
commissioner position.
yep, a commissioner
Yep.
position. So it ended up being a 4-4 tie on the voting, and because it was a tie, they just said, "Oh, we're going to cancel black bear season in
Yeah.
spring." So they are actually reviewing it, I believe, on the 22nd here, once again,
Yeah.
because there was so
Yeah.
much.
There's been over 20,000 signatures on the petition. And
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. We need to keep fighting.
Yep.
You really need to. And don't think, oh, I know let's just face it. Right now, there is a lack of trust in our government. And I don't care if you're talking about your city, your township government, or the federal government. There is a lack of trust right now but we need to get involved. And I think the Washington Spring Bear issue is one that's a perfect example of what can happen if we don't get involved and what can happen politically. A lot of it has to do with your vote. It goes back, you can trace it back to your votes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's great that I've seen a lot of people rally for Washington to get that spring bear season back. I really hope you guys do. And I also hope that people understand that it has a lot to do with their votes, and it really does. And I hope that I can represent Montana hunters proud and do what's best for Montana and the wildlife. But yeah, get out there and let your voices be heard.
I love it. I love it. Well, in the great words of Jana Waller, it's all about living, right?
Hey, I love it.
Let's go. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning into this episode. Hope you picked up some little nuggets to put into your memory bank. Don't forget to come check us out at the seminars that we're doing at the Western Hunt Expo. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you could leave a review and share it with your friends, that would really help us out. And as always, everybody, freedom on and stay soulful. If you enjoyed today's podcast, I'd love it if you could go ahead and give this a rating as well as subscribe. Also, you can check us out on Instagram under the Soulful Hunter Podcast. Make sure to tag us in pictures and posts and use the hashtag Soulful Hunter. To find out more about the Soulful Hunter Podcast, go to soulfulhunter.com and be sure to follow the podcast as we are going to be bringing you a lot of great information, insight, and changing lives through primal adventure. I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Stay tuned and stay soulful.